Hey, this is Michael Lindsay from Vital MX. We're out here at Cahuilla Creek MX in California today, riding the 2018 Kawasaki KX250F. So just this last year for 2017, we actually rode a fairly new Kawasaki 250F. They came out with a new frame, the engine pretty much from the piston up, the whole cylinder head had been redone, suspension components had gone through. But there's one thing about the 250F classes, it's very competitive right now. It seemed like last year they kind of took a step above, say, Suzuki and Honda, but they weren't able to quite catch the Yamaha or the KTM in terms of performance. They're kind of in this middle ground. The engine is definitely an improvement, and Kawasaki's always been really well known for that, but they went back through the cylinder head again this year, changed the intake port, they changed the throttle body, they straightened the actual injector so the fuel sprays in at a more straight angle, so the air shears it different and it basically atomizes the air to fuel better for better combustion. They've also changed the air boot itself. Basically everything is they're just trying to optimize how the air and fuel gets in there. Once it's in the engine, the intake cam has been changed and then the exhaust head pipe's been changed to get everything back out. Overall, their goal in this sense was mostly to pick up power everywhere, but especially low to mid. The Kawasaki already screams, but right off the bottom, especially if you try to replicate how you ride, say, the KTM or the Yamaha, carrying third, just a little more clutch need than those two bikes in some of the real softer sections, just because it needed just a little bit more grunt to be able to pull itself. And that's what they were able to accomplish with these changes. So another big change for 2018 relates to the front fork, notably the spring rate. In 2017, they bumped up the spring rate, which I was pretty vocal was fairly a bad decision for the 250F. It went above the target weight goal of most of your 250 riders, 140, 150 pounds, even up to me, I think I was getting closer to 155 at the time. And just the SFF spring fork with the valving on one side and the spring in there, it seems to be a very sensitive fork to spring rate. With that large metal spring on one side, when you go a little too high on the rate, it feels like there's a lot of imbalance. Now I do understand with this fork, also at the same time you go down a rate, there's a little bit struggle on the hold up with one side doing it, all the work. So they threw a check valve in the damping side this year, made a bunch of changes, and it was really just a really good move for them. Definitely going out there, there's a lot more move in the fork. It's a lot plusher initially, especially on a lot of little chatter chop you get at Cahuilla. We have a lot of flat, hard pack corners here that drift out. The old fork would just chatter through that. The new one settles a lot more. The only place it was a negative is some of the downhills. You brake really deep, but it's easy enough to make up with a couple clicks of compression. I've danced around between 2 and 4 clicks stiffer, depending upon the conditions today, and it's more than enough hold up to make up for going down on the spring rate and getting the extra comfort. Overall, the Kawasaki still keeps some of the great characteristics from before, from basically adjustments. You have a lot of different positions with the bar mounts. Foot pegs are adjustable. The bike's really interesting. It's small in the sense of it feels extremely small and skinny between the legs. The weight they dropped last year was very noticeable, but the bike doesn't feel as small as, say, as the Honda. It still has a lot of room to work around on, so it doesn't feel like a compact bike, but it feels very narrow and it's really easy to ride standing up and throwing around, you know, through your legs if you want to stand in and out of corners. It just feels like there's a lot of room for you to twist around side to side and work the bike under you. So overall, everything they've done in 2018 has definitely been a step in the right direction. Now it's still gonna be really interesting coming shootout time. What the Kawi has going for it is a very nimble bike, a lot of adjustment for the cockpit, and a lot better balanced suspension than they've had in the past, something that works better for your target 250 rider, and for more your vet guy that might like to ride 250s, there's a lot more comfort. Now the one thing it may not have going for it is the engine is definitely more competitive. It's better than, say, the Suzuki or the Honda, but it's probably not quite to the level of the KTM or the Yamaha yet. Notably, it's got definitely a lot more power in their range, but you're still shifting this bike just a little bit more than those models. So in the end, Kawi's definitely made the step in the right direction. Let's see how it holds up at the end of the year.